Hi, friends. Welcome to the Get Started video. My name is Ernie. I'm one of the teachers around here at YNAB, and I'm really excited to show you how to set up YNAB from start to finish. Now, I do want to let you know this is going to be a long video, but don't worry. There are chapters below, so if it's helpful, you can skip around between topics if you want. Now, like I said, I'm really excited to show you the app, but YNAB is so much more than an app. It's a life-changing method that adds awareness and intention to your spending. So I want to start there. I want to start with this very simple practice of giving every dollar a job. This is the foundation of YNAB. Once you understand this, everything else is going to make more sense in YNAB. And it's a really simple method. Giving every dollar a job means you're deciding what that money needs to do before you spend it. So it is a proactive approach. And right away in YNAB, you're going to see this because you're going to add your accounts, and those accounts are showing you how much money you have today. And then following the practice of giving every dollar a job, you're going to tell that money, here's what you need to do for me before I spend you. And that's what gives you the awareness and the intention. When you're working with the dollars and only the dollars that you have right now. So we're not going to be forecasting, we're not going to be thinking about those future paychecks. And the other thing that we're not going to be doing in YNAB is focusing on the past, looking in that rear view mirror and tracking all of our spending. Though there is a tracking aspect to YNAB, you'll see very quickly it is not the focus. The focus in YNAB is proactive. What does this money need to do right now? And we're going to dive into that method a lot more as we go on. I just wanted to set the stage at the very beginning because, like I said, understanding this practice of give every dollar a job is going to help you set things up in YNAB. All right, let's jump into this. I'm going to head over to the web app, and pretty much everything that I'm showing you here in the web app can also be done over on the mobile app. And I'll be sure that I jump over to the mobile app and show you some demonstrations from there. Big picture, like if we were to break down YNAB into its simplest form, on the left, you have your accounts. And the accounts are telling you how much money you have, or in the case of credit cards, how much money you owe. And then on the right are your categories. Those categories are a representation of how you spend and save. And then the whole idea of YNAB, right? The YNAB method, the practice is to take the money you have right now, so the dollars in ready to assign, and you give jobs to each and every dollar, right? You tell that money, here's what you need to do for me. And then you start allocating that money across your categories. And that is all that YNAB is. Now, I do want to make this practice of giving jobs to my dollars as simple as possible. So, what I'm going to do is some planning on the front end, and then you'll see by customizing our categories and adding targets, it's going to make this allocating piece a whole lot easier because we're going to have a little bit more understanding as to what the money needs to do, when that money needs to actually do something for us, and how much we need in those particular areas. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start customizing my categories. Like I said, these categories are a representation of how you spend, save, and give. They're a reflection of you, your life, your values, your priorities. So make them your own. And you have complete control over the category groups and the individual categories, meaning you can change the name of any of those groups or categories. To do that, you just click on that category or group, change the name. You can add an emoji. You can take the emoji off. And then if you don't need the category or the group, you go ahead and you delete it. The other thing you can do is add new categories and groups. To create a new group, top left, hit that category group button. New category, you hover over the group and then you hit that blue plus button right there. And then the other thing that you can do is you can rearrange the groups and the categories in an order that makes sense to you. So when you go into YNAB, you have to feel good about what your categories look like, what they kind of emotion they are conveying to you, and also the order of everything. So make these your own. Oh, and actually, let me back up and show you how to move the categories around. You just click and drag, right? So I'm just clicking. Let's drag it right there. That looks good. And you can do the same thing with the groups. Now, the one thing that I want to advise against is perfection. I know there's going to be that temptation to get these categories and these groups just right off the bat, but that's going to be difficult to do. They're constantly going to be evolving. New expenses are going to be coming into your life. Old ones are going to be, cast aside. So it becomes this ongoing process. So definitely don't shoot for perfection right out of the gate. And these are your own, but let me give you some suggestions as to the types of categories and groups you might want to think through. Of course, you have your monthly bills and expenses. Those are the easy ones. I'll get to credit cards in just a moment. Non-monthly bills and expenses, these are all the things that you don't spend money on every single month. Things like your annual Costco or Amazon Prime membership, your 6-month car insurance premium. These are often the bills and expenses that we forget about. So think through those a little bit. And again, you're not shooting for perfection. It might take you an entire year to figure out what your actual non-monthly expenses are. I remember when I started YNAB, I completely forgot about vehicle registration. And so when that came up, it was a surprise. But then I just created a category for it so that the next year around, I was ready. And then the other types of categories you might want to think through: goals. These can be big or small, long term, short term. Just think through, what is that life that I want to create, even if maybe right now I don't have the means to do that. I think it is good to start thinking ahead in the future. Okay, so you're customizing your categories and your groups, you're making them your own. The other thing that we're going to be doing during this planning phase is adding targets to the categories. Targets are how we plan. It's how we tell a category, here's how much money I want to assign, and here's when I want to assign that money by. So all of the categories that have yellow have a target on them. Take a look at my auto loan category. My target, I want to assign $375 by the 28th of December. And the reason that the category is yellow is because you can see here in the assigned field, I have not assigned a single penny. So YNAB is reminding me that when the money becomes available, make sure I assign 375 by the 28th. So I want to walk through now how to set up and use these targets in various ways. Let's go to the phone category. This is a monthly bill for me. And let's say that bill is always due on the 10th of the month. So with the category selected, I'm going to navigate over to the right to the target menu, create target, and I'm going to tell YNAB how often do I need money for the phone bill? Monthly. How much do I need for the phone bill? $140. Now keep in mind, just like with the category creation, the target creation does not have to be perfect. If you don't know the exact amount of the bill or you have no idea how much you need for groceries, take your best guess. That is absolutely okay because at any point you can edit those targets. And usually what YNABers do is they put a number down to start, and then as time goes on and they start collecting a little bit more data, they dial in a more specific amount that they need. So months down the road, like I said, you can edit those targets, make them a little bit more realistic to your actual life. Okay, final piece of information. I need $140 monthly, but when exactly during the month do I need that 140? I told you my phone bill is due on the 10th. I'm going to select that date. So now, with those first three pieces of information, I'm all set for December. This final option down here, next month I want to, is going to set me up for January and beyond. What do I want to do in my phone category next month in January? Well, in this case, I want to repeat the process all over again. I want to set aside another $140 because here's what's going to happen in December. I will set aside 140. I will then spend that 140. So going into January, I'm not going to have any money in the category. So I want that target to remind me to put in another $140 so that I can pay that January phone bill. So let's go ahead and save that target. And now you can see that information is right there. I need $140 by the 10th of December. And the category is yellow. Again, that's my reminder to make sure I actually assign the money by that date. And then as you can see here in January, that target carries over. And then in January, it's going to remind me to do that whole process over. Assign $140 by the 10th of January. Okay, let's go back to December. Let's set up a target for groceries. Category selected, create target. I'm sticking with that monthly frequency. How much do I need for groceries? Again, it's absolutely okay to guess here. I'm going to say 800 bucks. And I want that by the end of the month. So I'm probably not going to be able to assign 800 right away to the category. I might be building that category up in stages. So paycheck 1, maybe I put $400 in. Paycheck 2, I put another 400. But when it's all said and done, by the time I get to the end of the month, I want to have put in 800. And then next month, what do I want to do? In this case, I'm going to choose this refill up to option because here's the thing. With categories like groceries, restaurants, gas, I might have money left over at the end of the month. I might not spend all the money that I have assigned to that category. Now, in YNAB, money that's left over, it automatically rolls over into the next month. And I'll show you this in a bit here. But with that refill up to option, YNAB is going to use that leftover money and put it towards next month's target amount. So let's say at the end of December, I have $20 left over in groceries. That automatically rolls over into January. And then on January 1st, YNAB's going to say, okay, you want another $800. But looky here, You have $20 left over from last month. So let's refill you up to 800. Let's have you add another 780. And then once I assign the 780 plus the 20 that left over, that gets me to that target amount. So that refill up to option is like topping off the gas tank. And that's what I want to do in this groceries category every month. Save that, and there we go. Set aside $800 by the end of the month. Category is yellow. That's reminding me, make sure I actually put that money in as the month goes on. Okay, so I went ahead and I used that monthly frequency for all of my monthly bills and expenses. Let me talk very briefly about credit cards. Now, we do have a video course dedicated to credit cards, so I highly recommend you check that one out. But for this video, I just want to focus on how to handle that balance that you bring into YNAB. So I added my Visa and Discover accounts today. I owe Visa, as of today, $150. I owe Discover $2,400. So I'm going to make a decision. What am I going to do to account for those current balances on the card? Now, let me back up a bit here. When I added those accounts, YNAB automatically created these matching credit card payment categories in the budget. And these are the categories that I'm going to use to keep track of how much money I have available for my next payment. So take a look at this. On the account side, I owe Visa $150. And according to my budget, looking at my payment category, I don't have any money set aside for my next payment. And that's why that payment number is yellow. The yellow's trying to get my attention. It's telling me, Ernie, you need to assign $150 more to pay off your current balance. So now I have a decision to make. How am I going to handle that $150 balance? Am I going to pay that balance all at once? Or am I going to pay that balance over time? Now, with the Visa, let's say this is my pay in full card. And when I say pay in full, I mean that I'm paying that balance down to zero every month, or I'm paying the statement balance without paying any interest. I treat those two scenarios the exact same in YNAB. So Visa is paying full at some point, and for me, I make my payment on the 18th. I'm going to pay that balance all the way down to zero. So my plan is before I make that payment, I want to make sure I assign $150 to my payment category. So I'm just going to leave this category as is. YNAB is doing exactly what I want it to do. Remind me to make sure I set aside enough money to pay that all the way down to zero. So I'm not going to touch that category. Let's go to the Discover. Discover, I owe them $2,400. I don't have any money set aside for my next Discover payment. So again, YNAB's trying to get my attention. Hey, Ernie, you need to assign $2,400 more to pay off your current balance. So again, it's decision time. How am I actually going to handle that current balance? Am I going to pay it all at once? Am I going to pay it over time? Now with the Discover, this is a card that I'm paying off over time. So what that means, I don't have enough money to assign to be able to pay that down to zero. So I do not want YNAB reminding me month after month to assign the current balance. I just don't have the ability to pay that all the way down at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a debt payoff target. I'm just going to click on that target button below. And I have two options here. And what I'm doing here is I'm coming up with an amount that I want YNAB to remind me to set aside every month. So I'm coming up with an amount that works with my plan. And I could use the payoff balance by date option to come up with that monthly amount. I could play with this date picker. But let's say in this example, let's say prior to YNAB, I've been trying to send Discover $300 every single month. So I'm going to use the pay specific amount monthly option, enter in that amount, save that target. Category remains yellow, but now look at this. Now the amount to assign has changed. YNAB's no longer reminding me to assign the total amount. It's only reminding me to assign that 300, the amount that I told YNAB I want to put towards that Discover balance every single month. And the nice part here is if my plan ever changes, maybe I want to put more or less, I can always edit that target going forward. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to send Discover $300 every single month, and I'm going to do that until the card is paid off. That's how I'm handling that balance. And then with the Visa, I'm paying this all at once. So before I make that payment on the 18th, I'll make sure I need to assign $150. All right, let's move on. So now I'm in the non-monthly group. And again, your groups don't have to look exactly like mine, but you do want to think through what are your non-monthly expenses and bills? What are all those things that you don't spend money on every single month? And this is where I think targets are the most helpful because generally, you don't have to be reminded to set money aside for your phone bill, your rent, your mortgage, groceries, things like that. We remember those monthly expenses. A lot of times we do not remember the non monthlies. So they sneak up on us. They surprise us, even though they happen every single year or every 3 months, every 6 months. But now with that target in place, we're going to get that very nice, friendly monthly reminder to make sure that we set a little bit of something aside. So let's walk through this. Let's create a plan for my annual car insurance premium. We'll say I pay this bill, we'll say it's $1,200 and I pay it every single May. Category selected, create target. I need $1,200 to pay this bill. Now, I don't need the $1,200 weekly or monthly. I need it yearly. I need it by May. And the actual date doesn't matter. You can pick the first or the last of the month, or if you know the actual date of the bill, select that. I'm just going to say May 1st. And then next year, so once I pay the premium in May, what do I want to do in my car insurance category starting in June of 2025? Well, I want to repeat the process all over again. I want to start the process of setting aside, saving another 1,200. So save that target. And then here's what YNAB does. It takes that large amount of money that I want in the future and it breaks it down into this nice monthly target amount. So like I said, now every month as my paychecks are coming in, I'm going to see that yellow alert. That's my reminder. Oh yeah, car insurance. That's due in the spring. Let's make sure I set something aside. Let's make sure I set aside $200. And then once I set that money aside, since I'm not going to be spending it, it's going to automatically roll over into the next month. And then next month, I'll put another $200 in, right? So I'll have 400 in the car insurance category. Month after month, as I keep putting money into that category, I'm going to watch as that category balance grows. That's encouraging. That's motivating, right? Then I can see I'm actually saving money. And then the best part is come May, if I've stayed on track, I'm going to have $1,200 there just sitting, waiting, and ready to go. When that bill lands in my inbox or in my actual mailbox, I don't have to scramble to come up with 1,200. I don't have to pull that money from savings or put the expense on a credit card and figure out a plan for how I'm going to pay off that card balance later on. I've got the money sitting there waiting and ready to go. I can just pay that bill super easy. I love, I just absolutely love creating plans for all of those non monthly bills and expenses because it takes the surprises out of personal finance. I should say it takes most of the surprises out. Okay, one final example. This would be how to use targets for your goals, whether they're small or big, short term, long term. Let's say I'm saving for a new roof. Category selected, create target, and my goal is to save $15,000. Now, I don't want $15,000 weekly, monthly, or yearly, so I'm going to choose this custom option. And in the I want to section, now you can see I have a third option here. I want to have a balance of $15,000. And this is generally what you're going to use for all of your savings goals. And so I'm telling YNAB, I want this new roof category to have $15,000 in it by, how about January 2028? Save that target. And just like with car insurance, YNAB takes that large amount that I want in the future and it breaks it down in this monthly target amount. And what I really like about any target that you have set for more than a month out is YNAB auto adjusts that monthly amount based on what you've actually assigned. So if there's ever a month where you assign more or less than that target amount, no worries. Like I said, YNAB will auto adjust. It's always going to keep you on track to getting that total amount by that future date. And just to show you this, if I don't assign any money to the new roof category in December, in January, notice how the amount goes up. Now I need to set aside 405.41. So what is that? A jump of like, $10 or so. Excellent. Okay, there we go. So after a little bit of customizing of my categories and adding those targets, I now have this master plan. I know what all of my money needs to do. And what a lot of folks like to do at this point is a reality check on that plan. The reality check is, how much does that plan cost? And is the total cost less than my expected income? And the way we do that is we look at this underfunded number over here on the right. That underfunded is telling me how much it costs to be me, right? So YNAB is actually adding up all of these individual monthly amounts, telling me I need just under $6,200. And what I always like to do is I flip forward 1 month and look at it there. So it looks like it's just a little bit over $6,200. And then I can compare that amount to my expected income and then make any adjustments if I need to. Way back at the beginning, I told you that everything I'm showing you on web can also be done on mobile. So let me hop over there now and show you this. And actually, I think it's really easy on the mobile app to set up your plan. All you have to do is tap in the upper right, hit that edit button right there. And now I've got this one-stop shop to all my categories and all my targets. So I can change the name of any of those categories. I can create new categories. In the group, hit that plus button to create new category groups. You got that plus button right there in that folder icon. You can rearrange the groups and the categories using that triple hamburger patty icon over there on the far right. And then, of course, you have the targets underneath each category, and you can customize those, set them up however you want. One-stop shop there over on mobile. Really nice. Okay, now the real YNAB fun is going to begin. Now we're going to actually start following the method of giving jobs to our dollars. So I'm going to take the money that I have in ready to assign and I'm going to start allocating it to these categories. But let me back up and actually explain how the money is showing up in ready to assign. I've already added my accounts. I added my checking account and my savings account. And YNAB, with that starting balance transaction, is telling me exactly how much money I have in that account as of the date I set it up in YNAB. And for those of you that have a linked account, YNAB will automatically import that balance for you. And then for those of you that set up with an unlinked account, you're going to manually have to enter that amount. In either case, those starting balances are automatically categorized as ready to assign. What that ready to assign category does is it feeds that amount into the budget. So you can see here across my checking and savings accounts, I have $5,540. And now in ready to assign, I have $5,540. I'm only working with the money that I have right now. I'm not forecasting, I'm not even thinking about those future paychecks. I'm working in reality. And I'm now going to follow the practice, the YNAB method of giving a job to every single one of these dollars. I'm going to tell this money, here's what you need to do for me before I actually spend you. And what I'm going to do right away, because I'm looking at my savings account over here, I don't want to use that $2,000 to pay my phone bill or go towards groceries. So I'm going to protect those dollars. If you have a savings category already set up, just assign your savings dollars there. And then I'm going to come back later on and make a decision about specifically what I want that money to do. So I don't have a general savings category. I'm going to create one and I'm just going to say savings don't touch. And I'm going to take the $2,000 in that account and I'm just going to assign it to that category. And we're going to ignore that right now. We'll come back to savings in just a minute. But like I said, I just wanted to make sure that I protect that money and I don't use it for something that it wasn't intended for. So now in ready to assign, all I have is what's in my checking account. So now giving a job to every single dollar. Here's the thing. There's a lot of different jobs that those dollars could do. I mean, just looking across all my categories, dozens of categories, and you probably have more than I do. So the question is, how do I actually prioritize what my ready to assign money needs to do? And we have 5 questions to help you think through this. And these questions do not have to be asked in order. You can jump around between them. And maybe sometimes you only ask yourself 2 of the 5 questions. Maybe sometimes you go through all of them. There's no rules. All right, just do what works for you. So I'm going to go through all of them and then show you what my thought process is. So, question number 1. And this is a question I always begin with because I think it's the most important question out of the gate. What does this money need to do before I'm paid again? So between now and that next paycheck, what are the bills? What are the expenses? These are my immediate obligations. These are the really important ones. So for me, let's say my next paycheck isn't for a couple weeks. And I'm recording this video on December 9th. We'll say my next paycheck isn't until December 20th. So I'm going to start by taking that money and ready to assign and putting it towards those bills and expenses that I'm paying for between now and the 20th. So let's go ahead, start right at the top. Mortgage, I need $1,600 by December 1st. Well, that happened a week and a half ago. So there is no need to take money that I have right now and put it towards an expense that's already happened. So I'm not going to assign any money to my mortgage category. And if it's helpful, you can snooze those targets. You can basically turn them off for the month so YNAB is no longer reminding you to put money in that category. And to do that, you select the category, target menu way at the bottom, snooze target for the month. Click that. And now you can see that target is taking a nice little nap. You got those Z's over there. And YNAB is not reminding me to set money aside for my mortgage this month. And then when it gets to the point where I want to start thinking about the next month mortgage, in the January plan, notice how that target wakes back up. Okay, so we're ignoring the mortgage category. Here's something I can't ignore. My phone category, because that bill is due tomorrow. I'm sending the phone company $140. So to get ready to pay that bill, I'm going to take 140 of these available dollars at the top, and I'm going to assign those 140 to my phone category. Now notice this, my ready to assign is 140 less. My phone category, 140 more. Now I can see of all the money that I have right now today, 140 of those dollars are set aside to pay my phone bill. I've got money to pay that phone bill tomorrow. And notice too how the yellow alert has disappeared. It's like I've got that green light to now confidently spend that money. All right. What else does this money need to do? Well, it needs to pay my internet service provider. Looks like that bill is due on the 13th, and I pay them $80. So I'm going to assign 80. Now I have 80 available to spend. That one is good to go. What else? Electric, $200 by the 17th. Assign 200. Perfect. So now when I take a step back, I can see of all the money that I have, I've got dollars set aside to pay my next 3 bills. That feels pretty good. Let's keep going here. Student loan, $225 by the 25th. Well, I'm getting paid on the 20th. So I can use that paycheck to fund the student loan and the auto loan category. But, I'm looking at these amounts, and those are some of my larger bills. So instead of those large amounts coming out of one paycheck, maybe I spread them across a couple. Maybe I set aside $100 in my student loan category. So now I need to assign another 125. And for auto loan, I'll put 150 in. Again, I'm just trying to get a small head start. And then the categories will remain yellow, which is really nice because when I get that next paycheck, that yellow is going to catch my eye. And then I'll see, oh yeah, I've already put 100 in. I'll put another 125 in student loan, another 225 in my auto loan, and then I'll have the full amounts that I need to pay those bills at that time. Okay, what else does this money need to do between now and the next paycheck? It needs to buy some groceries, go out to eat, and fill up vehicles with gas. So these are also categories I'm going to partially fill. I don't think I have enough to fully fund all of them. So how about I just put $400 into groceries? And if it feels and sounds like I'm guessing, I kind of am. And that's what it might feel like for you at the beginning of YNAB. And that's totally normal. Just remember with YNAB, everything is very flexible. By assigning money to a category, it does not mean this is how exactly you have to spend that money. You can always change your mind later on. So you can take money out of a category, or if you need to put more money in, you can. So, yes, for many of your categories, it might feel like you're guessing when you're assigning amounts, but over time, you're going to find a rhythm and you're going to have this new awareness that also is really going to give you a good idea of what you need in a particular category. So it gets easier as you go on. Okay, so now I've got $400. That's good. I'll probably spend, that's probably 2 weeks worth of grocery shopping for me. Okay, eating out, I don't need the full 300. I'm just going to do 150. That'll get me through 2 weeks. And then with that next paycheck, I can always put more in there. Same with transportation, $100. Perfect. All right, so now I've got dollars available to spend in those areas. What else does this money need to do between now and the next paycheck? Fun money. Now, I know I don't make recommendations as to what type of categories you have, but I highly recommend, especially if you're sharing YNAB with your partner, make sure you both have a fun money category. Make sure you both have some money that you can spend guilt-free, no questions asked every single month. So, if you're doing this with a partner, you two agree on an amount that goes in. And then the best part, I get to spend that $100 however I want every single month. Christy gets to spend her $100 however she wants the rest of the month. Fun money categories are the absolute best in YNAB. Okay, so here's where we stand. I've covered all of the bills and expenses between now and the next paycheck. And I've gotten a head start on the other bills. I still have $2,020 in ready to assign. So what else does that money need to do? I'm going to take a look at my credit card payments category. I make my Visa payment on the 18th. I'm getting paid on December 20th. So this one needs to be ready to go. And remember, the Visa is my pay in full. So what I'm going to do is I owe Visa $150 right now. I'm going to assign $150, and that corresponds with that target amount right there. So now, according to the budget, I have $150 set aside to send to Visa as a payment. I have the exact amount of money that I need to pay that balance all the way down to zero. And again, this is my pay in full card. So for those of you that have a pay in full card, and when I say pay in full, I mean you pay the balance down to zero or you pay the statement balance without paying interest. I treat both situations the exact same in YNAB. That payment number always matches my balance. 150 available to pay, I owe $150. This one's good to go. Okay, Discover, that payment isn't until the 24th, but it's $300. So a fairly large amount. How about I get a head start on that and I put 100 aside? There we go. So now with my next paycheck, I'll dump another 200 in there and then I'll have that 300 available and ready to go for my payment on the 24th. Okay. So I've taken care of all of the bills and expenses between now and the next paycheck. I've got $1,770 left and ready to assign. Another question you can ask yourself when thinking through how to prioritize those dollars. What larger, less frequent spending do I need to prepare for? These are your non monthlies that we've talked about numerous times here already. So here's my non monthly category. I'm going to start setting a little bit aside this month. And I might not pay for any of these things this month, but I'm going to do the same thing next month, set a little bit more aside. So month after month, as I keep dumping money in these categories, when that expense or that bill finally does land, I'm going to be ready to go. I'm going to have money available. So again, it's a very proactive approach. Okay. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to fully fund all of these. So let's just start partially funding them. Let's just get a little bit of a head start. Auto maintenance, put $75 in there. Car insurance. This is something I'm going to fully fund because I want to make sure I stay on track. There we go. Now I'm on track. I'm not going to spend that 200 in December, so it rolls over automatically into January. There we go. There's that 200 still available, and then it turns yellow again. That's my reminder to put 200 more in January. And then once I do that, and I'll show you this right now, actually. Now I have 400 available. So month after month, as I keep putting money in that category, again, I'm watching as that category balance grows. I love that in YNAB. All right, let me take that money out. All right, back to December. What else? What other non-monthlies am I going to put that money towards? I'll do 50 towards clothing. Gifts and holidays. Yeah, I should. Oh boy. How about I do 75? I think I'll fully fund this one later on in the month because we have the holidays coming up very quickly. But I'll just get a head start in case we buy anything between now and the next paycheck. Home maintenance. I'll do $50 there. $50 in medical. 25 stuff I forgot. I'll do 60. I'll do the full amount in subscriptions. There we go. Okay, so now looking at my available column for my non-monthlies, I can see I have a little bit of money set aside for those things. I'm getting that head start. I'm starting to build some resilience. Now, when these expenses land, they're not going to come as a complete surprise to me. Okay, I've got $1,090 left over. Again, I'm asking myself, what does that money need to do? I'm giving jobs. I'm telling the money, here's what you need to do for me. Another question I'm going to ask myself as I'm thinking through how to prioritize that money, what can I set aside for next month's spending? So I'm going to start thinking about next month. And that may seem like a weird thing, but getting a month ahead, getting 30, 45, 60 days out in front of your expenses is another great way to build resilience. It's a great way to create some breathing room in your spending plan. And for those of you that might be paycheck to paycheck right now, this is what's going to break you out of that. So here's what I'm going to do. I know, and let me go to the January plan. That mortgage is by far the biggest expense that I pay every single month. It's $1,600. And it always takes so much of one of my paychecks. So maybe I start getting ready for this ahead of time. Maybe what I do is I take some of the money that I have right now. Let's take 400 and I'll put 400 in my mortgage category. And then maybe with my next paycheck, I'll put another 400. And then with the next paycheck, then I'll take $800 from that check and I'll have the 1,600 available to go on January 1st. But you see what I'm doing here is I'm slowly getting that category ready to pay that bill, to pay that expense, instead of letting it happen all at once, and sometimes wreck my finances or put me in a really difficult spot where all my money goes towards one thing and I have nothing left over for anything else. So I'm trying to create some breathing room. So I'm getting a head start on the January mortgage. And I'm going to start doing this for all of my bills. And it's not going to happen overnight, but eventually I want to get myself to a place where I'm a month ahead on everything. Where by the end of the current month, I can look forward and see that my next month's plan is fully funded. And again, it doesn't happen overnight, but if you commit to every time money arrives, asking yourself, can some of this money be put towards next month expenses? You're going to get yourself there. And then eventually you're going to get that full month ahead on all of your expenses. Okay, let's go back to December. I've got $690 left over. So, what else does that money need to do? Let's go back to our questions. Here's the next one I always ask myself. What goals, large or small, do I want to prioritize? And this is a question that you might not always ask yourself because you might not always have money available. Or maybe it's the first question you ask after taking care of your expenses between now and your next paycheck. Again, there's no order to these questions. The point is for you to consider everything, to take a look at all of the bills, expenses, all of the priorities that you have in your life. Think through all of them and then start divvying out that money based on your priorities. So, what am I saving for? I'm saving for a new roof, a vacation, and an indoor putting green to get me through the long, cold Wisconsin winters. So, let's see, what do I want to do here? I'll put $500 towards the new roof. That's a good head start. Maybe $150 towards the upcoming vacation. And then the last $40, I drop that in the putting green category. And there we go. So now my ready to assign is all the way down to zero. What that means is every dollar that I have today has a job. I know the purpose of every single dollar in my accounts. Now, the final question you might want to ask, or maybe it's just a question that you ask yourself regularly as you're looking through your available balances. What changes do I need to make, if any? This is what I love about YNAB. It's flexible. Nothing is set in stone. These category balances, they are not set in stone. I can move money around. I can take money out of categories and I can put it in another category if I want to. I can change my mind. This is so helpful when, after you make a plan, life starts happening and it starts changing rapidly. And you realize, oh, shoot, I forgot something, or that doesn't match up with what I'm seeing in the real world. I need to make an adjustment. Maybe after I'm done making this plan, as I'm looking through these category balances, I realize, oh, wait a second, shoot, I have an oil change on Friday. I know that oil change is going to cost $90. I only have $75 available in auto maintenance. I can make an adjustment now. So now, how about I find $25 from another category? I'll put 100 in there just to be on the safe side. So I just need to find another category, or maybe it's a couple categories where I take some money from and just reassign it to auto maintenance to give me that 100, that amount that I do want. Let's see, what should we do here? Clothing, For me, this is a low priority category. I've assigned 50. How about I take 25 of those dollars and put them in auto instead? Right? I just unassigned $25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that available amount. I'm going to move 25 to auto. And then what YNAB does is it unassigns the amount from clothing. So there's that 25 leaving. Now I have 25 moving forward in that category. And then it reassigns that $25 in auto maintenance. So now I've assigned 100 and I have 100 available. Now with that really simple adjustment, now I'm ready to go. I can pay for that oil change. I have the money available in my auto maintenance category. And there we go. All right, so I'm back to a place where ready to assign down to 0. And looking through these available amounts, I feel good with where I'm at. My YNAB spending plan is now set up and ready to go. And the key moving forward is I'm going to rely on these category balances. Those category balances are going to guide my spending decisions. Maybe in the past, you're used to looking at your checking account balance and making decisions about that number. The problem with that, it doesn't give us a whole lot of clarity. I've got $3,540, but how much of that money is available for groceries? Really tough to tell. And if I do some mental math, I'm probably not accounting for everything. That's why I always prefer look at the category balance. Then you will know exactly where you stand. I've got $400 available to spend on groceries. And then I can see I can safely, confidently spend that 400 and still have all this money set aside for these other bills, expenses, and priorities. So I'm relying on those category balances. And then the other thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tracking my spending. As I actually spend money and earn more, I'm going to record that in the appropriate accounts. And I'll show you demos of that in just a moment. What I want to do right now is go back to those savings dollars. Remember, I dumped them in this temporary holding category. So now I'm going to click on that available amount and I'm going to move that money back to ready to assign. And now, since I don't need this category anymore, I'm going to delete it. So there we go, $2,000 in my savings account. That $2,000 is available, ready to assign. Now I want to make specific decisions about what I'm saving for. And this always throws people off in YNAB, and I get it, right? You're thinking, well, I just need to make a plan for my checking dollars because my savings, well, they're savings. I don't want to spend those. And by putting them in ready to assign, we're not encouraging you to spend them either, but we do want you to know specifically what you're saving for. So think through those priorities. For me, I'm saving for a new roof, a vacation, and that indoor putting green. And you can have as many different savings categories as you want. And then all you have to do is assign those dollars, that money, to those categories. And that is what is going to protect that money. So, of the 2,000, how much is going towards the new roof? How about 1,500? So I'm going to assign an additional 1,500 because I already put 500 in there. So now I've got that category balance up to $2,000. Now I have saved $2,000 for the new roof. And this is also how I know that money's not going to be used for anything else. It's in the new roof category. And that money's not going to leave that category until I spend from the new roof category or decide to move it somewhere else. And just to show you that when I move forward to January, you see how that amount, it sticks with the category. And then in January and all future months, I have an opportunity to assign more, to save more. Okay, back to December. 500 left. How about 450 goes towards the vacation? So now I've saved 600. That amount carries over like it always does. Last 50 that goes towards the indoor putting green. Perfect. So now, ready to assign is back down to 0. Now I have a plan for all my dollars. I know what all of my money is set aside to do. So again, I am simply relying on these category balances, these available amounts to guide my spending decisions. Also, to guide any finance decisions that I need to, or questions that I need to answer, right? If there's a big emergency expense, how am I going to pay for that? I'm looking at those category balances to guide me. Okay, let's walk through spending. I'll show you spending from a checking account and also from a credit card account. Let's start with the checking account. I'm going to pay my phone bill. So I look at my phone category. I have $140 available to spend on the phone bill, right? So I've got enough to pay the bill. So I sign in to that company online, I pay the bill there, and now I can come back into YNAB and record that spending. So I'm going to click into my checking account because that's the account I spent from. And I'm going to hit this add transaction button at the top. Payee. This is who I gave the money to. I'm just going to say phone company. Amount, outflow. How much did I spend? 140. Now, for those of you that have linked accounts, YNAB will automatically import those transactions for you. You'll have a little white dot to the left of the account. That's letting you know that there's some transactions that need your attention. And then in the account register, YNAB brings in the payee. It brings in the amount, the outflow. All you have to decide is how to categorize. You just need to tell YNAB where to take that $140 from in your spending plan. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to find my phone category. This transaction looks good. I hit save. And now with that transaction, YNAB is reflecting $140 leaving my checking account. And then on the budget, there's that $140 leaving my category. So let's break this down. Assigned, that's the amount I put in, 140. Activity is what I've spent, 140. Available, what I have going forward, $0. And then I'll repeat that process all over in January. Assign another 140, spend 140. All right, let's spend from the credit card, and I'm going to spend from the groceries category. And let's hop over to the mobile app and we'll do this. And I love recording my spending from my phone because I always have my phone on me. It's also really easy to check in on the plan. You know, I'm running errands on the weekend and I'm wondering, okay, how much money do I have available to spend on groceries? $400. Okay, perfect. That should be more than enough. Let's say I'm just doing 1 week of grocery shopping. I'll spend right around $200. Okay, so once I have that information, I go and I do my spending. And let's say I go to Costco and I spend $190. I'm going to hit this add transaction button at the bottom. And we'll say that I spent, I said 190. I did say that, didn't I? And this is spending that I did on a credit card. So payee, again, this is who I gave the money to, Costco. Category, where am I taking the $190 from in my spending plan? I'm taking it from the 400 that I have available in groceries. And the account I spent that 190 from, my Visa. And there we go. So now YNAB took $190 out of my groceries category. So moving forward, I have $210 left on groceries that I can spend for the rest of the month. Again, this is why I love YNAB. It gives me that awareness, that intention, that clarity, that confidence. I don't have to second guess that spending at all. I had the money available, and now after spending it, I see exactly where I stand with the rest of my money. I still got dollars set aside to pay the rest of my bills, to have some fun with, money to send to the credit card companies, money that I'm saving for those non monthlies and those long term, short term goals. And then if you are using the mobile app and the web app, everything syncs together right away. And that should sync over here soon to the web app. But let me talk a little bit more about credit card spending. Because you can see, and actually, let me just speed this up. I'm going to refresh this budget. Oh, there we go. It's synced over from mobile. So there's that $190. So the spending on a credit card was recorded the same exact way when I spent from my checking account. And that's what I love about YNAB. You get to spend the available money however you want. Debit, credit, cash. It doesn't matter. It all gets recorded the same way. But there is one other mechanic that happens when you spend on a credit card in YNAB. As soon as the money comes out of the category, YNAB is automatically going to move it to the credit card payment category for you. So it took $190 out of my groceries category and it moved that $190 to my Visa payment category. Now you can see I have $340 available to send to Visa. I have the exact amount I need to pay that balance, 340, all the way down to zero. So the key in all of that is making sure that I have money available in the spending category. And as long as you have money available in the spending category, YNAB will automatically move those dollars, that money, to the payment category for you. YNAB is going to help you keep track of what you have available for that next payment. And really, all that YNAB is doing here is it's changing the job of the dollars, right? Because when you swipe a credit card, money is not actually leaving your account. In this case, Visa bought the groceries for me at Costco. I made that promise to pay Visa back. No money left my checking account. So knowing that I made this promise to pay Visa back later on, that's why YNAB takes the money out of groceries, changes the job to the Visa. Now the job of that $190 is to go back to Visa. So that money's just going to sit in my payment category until I actually make that payment to the credit card company. And again, this is just a very brief intro to credit cards in YNAB. I highly recommend you watch the credit card video next to get all of those ins and outs. Okay, let's cover another scenario here. I'm going to pay the internet bill. Category, internet, $95. So now with that transaction, YNAB reflects $95 leaving my checking account, and it reflects $95 leaving my internet category. Now, in this case, you can see I've overspent that category. This doesn't mean I did anything wrong. It just means more money came out than what is available, what was available. And that happens. we spend more than what's available, or in this case, I forgot that my internet bill went up this month and I didn't assign enough. Whatever the reason, the solution is really simple. You pay the category back. You find the money from some other category or a combination of categories in your plan. So, what am I going to do here? Let me click on that overspent amount, cover this overspending with, and now I have my categories along with what I have available. And now I'm just making a trade off. What's a category that I don't need $15 in at this point in time? And maybe I don't need it for the next couple weeks until my next paycheck. And I'm just going through my category balances, weighing the trade offs of using that money versus using money in another category. How about we do this one? Stuff I forgot. I forgot that my internet bill had increased this month. So this is perfect. I have $25 available. So yeah, let's use 15 of those 25. Hit OK. And then YNAB reassigns the money for me. So first, it took $15 out of stuff I forgot. That leaves me with $10. And it reassigned that 15 into internet. So now I've paid that category back and I'm good to go. No big deal. And I recommend paying back those categories, those overspending categories, as soon as possible. Because when you have overspending, you can't trust any of the other available amounts. And I always want to be able to trust those available amounts. Remember, I said those are the really important numbers in YNAB. So to be able to trust those, I don't want any overspending in my other categories. And there we go. All right, one final demo. Adding a paycheck. I know I said I wasn't getting paid until a couple weeks, but let me show you that right now. We'll say I got paid today. So in my checking account, I'm going to hit this add transaction button. Payee, this is the name of my employer or the source of my income. My employer is YNAB. And let's say I was paid $1,800. So I'm putting that as an inflow. And for those of you with a linked account, YNAB will automatically import your paychecks. It's going to bring through the payee, which you can edit if you want. It's going to bring through that amount as an inflow. All you have to do is categorize. And income is always categorized as ready to assign. Save that transaction. So now with that paycheck added to my checking account, YNAB is reflecting a brand new $1,800 in my checking account. And then with that ready to assign category, YNAB is reflecting a brand new 1,800 in ready to assign. And it's right back to the YNAB method. I'm going to give a job to every single one of those new dollars. And that's the process. Money comes in, you give jobs to those dollars, you tell that money, here's what you need to do for me. And to figure out what the money needs to do, you ask those 5 questions. And then you rely on your category balances. That's your spending plan. Here's what you have available. And then as you spend that money, you record that spending. Your plan updates. New money comes in, and you repeat that process all over again. All right, friends, I hope this has been helpful. Again, you can rewatch any of these parts over again. If you still have questions, you can ask in the comments section. I'm happy to help there. Otherwise, if you want a more timely response, reach out directly to our support team. help@ynab.com. Fantastic group of individuals. They would love to help in any way that they can. All right, friends, thanks for your time and happy YNABing. See you later.